It's time now for us to review newspaper headlines. And joining us now for that is Mr. Kairi Komolafe, Executive Director, This Day Newspapers Limited and Ombudsman of This Day Arise Media Group, also known as Mr. KK. Great to have you. Good morning.
Good morning, Kashi.
How do you do?
Good morning, KK.
Very well, and you? Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Mr. KK. How are you this morning?
Very well, and you, Oji?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
Very well.
All right, thank you, KK. Let's go straight into the newspaper review. We'll start, as always, with This Day on Sunday, the newspaper of record. The lead story today says Bala Mohammed, Defections won't sink PDP, will return to Aso Villa in 2027. That's Bala Mohammed making that categorical statement about his dreams, wishes, and I believe prayers for the People's Democratic Party. And then the rider says defection act of cowardice as Diri joins Mba, I believe that's Bayelsa State Governor and Enugu State Governor that have been expected in the ruling party APC. Insists PDP will weather the storm, hold November convention, and then court declines bid to stop party's convention. So Ibadan here PDP comes next month. That's Bala Mohammed saying defections will not sink his party. And then a few other stories on the cover of This Day. Beside the top picture, we have the story Presidency Justifies Clemency, granted 175 inmates, ex-convict. I believe that Oji made reference to that in our interview with Honorable Agocha, who feels that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should have been part of those that, should have been considered, especially given that he hasn't committed any crime that would warrant clemency.
Yeah, granting clemency is when you actually have been convicted, like he mentioned.
Precisely what I'm saying.
But what I was trying to say was, do you think that he should be on the list of people he would like to pardon? The president would have pardoned, right, instead of the word clemency.
Pardon him for what?
For whatever reason that the president put the 175 list together.
What he was saying, that
yes.
the pardon will not be the point, but consider the fact that he should be released. But it would be nice to hear KK's thoughts on that. I can read your visage, KK, on what we're talking about, but we're coming back to you. The window story says NUPRC, which again we discussed with Kevin Emmanuel, and he gave his brilliant submission. Senior oil workers' 3-day strike shrank Nigeria's crude output to 1.58 million barrels per day in September. That also speaks to what Kachi was saying about we even meeting our quota, but then at the time that it looks like we're meeting the OPEC quota, then a strike, brought it down to 1.58 million barrels per day last month, which is not good enough because our target is a lot higher. There are two. There's another story before the pictures. On the strip down there, in the sweeping reform, CBN gives banks 48 hours ultimatum to refund failed ATM transactions. I can see many Nigerians, expressing joy over this, because when you go through transactions, you want to withdraw money or you want to do this and that, and then it doesn't happen. 48 hours after, 72 hours after, nothing has happened. Nobody is talking to you. Now a new directive has come from the CBN, giving banks 48 hours ultimatum to refund every failed ATM transactions. Bravo, that's brilliant idea. Compliance will be key. Two cover pictures there. KK, will you want us to mention them? The one on the top shows the communications director, Qatar National Library, Mohammed Said, with the Minister of State for Education, a professor there, and then First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu, Operations Director, Qatar National Library, Khalid Al-Yarik, and Distinctive Collection Specialist at Qatar National Library there during the visit of the First Lady, Minister of State for Education and others to the facility in Doha. I believe that given the fact that the First Lady has shown considerable interest in revamping the National Library of Nigeria, has raised, single-handedly raised more than 20 billion. I'm sure that she's looking for inspiration from the Qatar National Library, which is well celebrated globally as a major resource center. So that's what the first picture there is saying. And then the second picture is visiting Papal Palace, and it's showing His Highness Pope Leo with the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general elections, Mr. Peter Obi, with his wife, Mrs. Margaret Obi, during their audience with the Pope at the Vatican City recently. That's Mr. Peter Obi, a Catholic, isn't he? He is a Catholic, isn't he? Absolutely, you know, in Rome with the Holy Father there. KK, just important 4 stories, political, economy, and economy basically, even with the ATM story, you know, good economic story, and then the clemency, the clarification from the federal government. Those are the 4 stories on the cover of today's This Day, with 2 important pictures showing 2 important Nigerian political, national figures, shall we say. KK, over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. Before we go to the lead story of this day, maybe let's say something about the photographs.
Okay.
Because like OJ will say in our what is trending, I mean the 2 photographs, they are good news. You know, first
Good report.
yeah,
Good news report.
Good
News report.
Yeah, no, they are good news. Yeah, so maybe we should start on that good news. First, the photograph of the First Lady, you know, the visit to Qatar, you know, I think is in the pursuit of the noble goal of bringing to completion, you know, the National Library project, you know, and I think it is a goal that should be pursued at all the vigor that it requires, and it is worthy of support, you know. And I think, you know, more resources, you know, should pour in so that we'll be able to have, you know, a befitting National Library. I think many years ago, I remember one of the critique that Professor Olusegun, you know, made of Abuja was that how could you have the nation's capital and you don't have a library, you know, you don't have a thriving, you know, a bookshop, you know. So I mean the cultural, you know, importance, you know, of having a befitting liberal library cannot be overemphasized. And for the other good news reports, you know, though in a photographic form now, that is the visit of Peter and Margaret Obi to Pope Leo, you know. I mean, for a Catholic, you know, it's a great thing, you know, it's a thing of blessing, you know, to be received by the Pope. So I can imagine that His Excellency Peter Obi and his wife, you know, must really have felt a great deal of, you know, spiritual satisfaction on that visit. Like you said, Steve, yes, the front page of these days, a mixture of the economic, you know, political, you know, and other stories, you know. But before we come to the lead story, let's take the story of prerogative of mercy, you know, exercised by the president, you know, yes. That you have, you know, remarkably, you know, such a large number of people, you know, I mean, names, you know, coming up and, you know, spanning perhaps the whole spectrum, you know, of our history, you know, pre-colonial, colonial and post-colonial history, you know. I think it's really worthy of discussion, you know. And I, like Honorable Agosha, pointed out, it's a technical question. You can only pardon a person who has been convicted.
That's correct.
And on record, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has not been convicted of any offense in the Nigerian court. But I think the point, which I imagine that Oji was trying to make, and which I think needs to be reinforced, is that a case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not, it should not be just seen as a clear case of criminal prosecution and the rest. It's a case that ultimately can only be resolved in political times. And that is not to downplay the gravity of the weight of evidence or argument that the prosecution may have. That it is a political issue ultimately, and that is quite true, and that the political leadership, should have its antenna, sharp enough to be able to perceive the mood in the southeast of Nigeria. Because from my own humble reading, the case of Nnamdi Kanu is perhaps, what unite all political tendencies in the southeast of Nigeria, and that in itself is something that ought, to be considered, and that is why it will be a matter, that the president, who has the power, as the political leader of the country, should consider that. Whereas at this stage, especially when you are not talking of his health, because I agree with Honorable Agosha that all steps should be taken, to ensure that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu does not, die in prison, again because of what will be the political consequences. Like I said, that so it's a matter that the political leadership will have to weigh, properly, and also address the sensibilities, on all sides, because while yes, like I said, that the mood, the southeast of Nigeria is that matters should be resolved, politically, but then when for the prosecution, that the allegations, against him, which are also, which also impinge, on, the mood, on of the other parts of the country, but on the balance, that it is better this matter is resolved, and put behind us, and that would be that perhaps that the Attorney General, should enter a non-prosecute, and the necessary political steps are taken, to ensure that it is resolved. But whether that will now, fall within the category, of what the president is doing in terms of the prerogative of mercy is a different matter entirely. Now, for the lead story of this day, which is politics, I think people should not write a premature obituary or PDP, because it's important to, for the public to remember that some years ago, more than a decade, about 15 years ago, this is not the first time PDP will have, this sort of crisis, that you have factionalization, the battle for the soul of the party. I remember there was a time when Senator Mondi Sharif, was leading a faction, which, was not, recognized by the other, some other elements within the party, and then when the whole thing became a labyrinthine legal matter, a lot of suits in the court, injunction after injunction, but ultimately the party was able to find its feet again, when I think a committee headed by the former Kaduna State Governor, Senator McCarthy, was able to, that particular committee, was able to organize a convention, and the matter is resolved. Now, the ray of hope for PDP in this time around is that, at least for now, it's not been possible to stop the November convention which has been built, for Ibadan, with court injunction that the court has declined to stop the convention, and I think that is good. It is important that the party should have its convention, and then the members of the party, delegates representing the various members of the members of the party from various parts of the country should decide on the fate of PDP. The fate of PDP should not be decided in the courtroom. It should be decided at the convention, and then a leadership should emerge. The other point, which that what I would call the lamentation of Governor Mohammed Bauchi, yes, I think that he should take consolation in the fact that, like I said, that this is not the first time PDP will go through all this and it has survived. And don't forget that PDP, we are talking of PDP, not just another party. This is a party on whose platform 3 presidents, have emerged. Obasanjo was elected on the platform of PDP. The late President Yar'Adua was elected on the platform of PDP, and so also President Goodluck Abi Jonathan. That what we're having, the disease of PDP, is not just perhaps endemic to PDP, alone. It is the disease of the party system in Nigeria, and that disease is that of politicians pretending that they could play politics in an ideological vacuum. It's simply because you don't have ideological boundaries. That is why people move from one party, to the other. In January, you are a full member of a political party. Before the end of the year, by December, you have gone through, 1 or 2 or 3 other parties, because the parties are not ideologically distinguishable. You can't distinguish them on the basis of, the various platforms we have, and that's rather that there's a need to rethink the party system in Nigeria, to get them ideologically rooted, so that people belong to parties on the basis of principle, on the basis of certain ideas that they have, not just because they just want a platform to contest election, which is what you have at present. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Shall we now take this day style? Thank you for your submission, Mr. KK. If we can pull up this day style. The cover picture there is your king. Steve, your king. Long live the king. The 44th Olubadan of Ibadan, Oba Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja, the 44th Kabiyesi. I mean, this is such a beautiful picture of the king right there on this day style. And I would read the editor's note. She wrote, when High Chief Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja was crowned the 44th Olubadan of Ibadan land, the atmosphere in the ancient city was filled with pride and nostalgia. It was more than a royal transition. It was the coronation of a man whose life story mirrors the spirit of Ibadan itself, resilient, patient, and deeply rooted in tradition. For the people of Ibadan, this was not just the rise of a new monarch, but the celebration of a journey defined by wisdom, endurance, and service. Born on September 25, 1944, Oba Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja ascended the throne at the age of 81, carrying with him decades of political experience, business success, and community engagement. Huge congratulations, Steve Ayorinde and the people of Ibadan land. This was a beautiful ceremony that was captured. We were there live. Arise News covered the entire event, and I can see you smiling from ear to ear, would I say? So I'll give you the floor right now to celebrate your king.
Thank you, Oji. That was a coronation of the century, even if I say so. Apologies, KK and any other city in Nigeria or in the southwest.
Congratulations,
I have had some coronation, recently. But then when you have the president, personally attending the coronation, that it's a big deal. I congratulate once again His Imperial Majesty Oba Adewolu Ladoja, Rashid Adewolu Ladoja. For me, it's a historical thing, but it also speaks to destiny. People tend to say, oh, why are those who become the king in Ibadan, why are they always elderly? But that is the essence of the monarchical method in Ibadan. The idea, being Republicans that they are, the idea is that go do everything that you would like to achieve in life. And Oba Ladoja, exemplifies that. Has been a senator, has been a governor, while still climbing the stool to become Olubadan. Unlike other places, and of course I do have respect for every other culture. But then the point is, the person who will become the Olubadan can be anything within, say, 20, 25, 30 years while he's climbing the stool. It took 32 years for Oba Ladoja from Jagun to get to the very top. And I think that's the whole idea. Yes, those who have the privilege of becoming a traditional monarch in their youth, and of course live to ripe old age, that is another style, but in Ibadan, it is about the fact that there's no controversy. From day one, who will become the king. And this is why I say that it is historical, and it's a question of destiny for Oba Rashidi Ladoja. When Oba Saliu Adetunji was on the throne a few years ago, a part of what he did was that he prayed for Senator Ladoja, with whom he was fighting a just cause about the inviolability of the essence of the Ibadan stool, when at the time government of Oyo State at some point tried to tamper with it and try to make those who are in line to become Olubadan to become coronet kings before they could become the king. He kicked against it. Oba Saliu kicked against it too. Many illustrious Ibadan people kicked against it. Leave a working method. Don't tamper. How do they say it in America? If it ain't bad, don't. If it
ain't broken, don't fix it.
Don't fix it. And this is what has happened in the case of Ladoja. He stood on the ground of honor, on principle, and today is the king at 81. We pray for long life. We pray for wisdom for him. We pray for development and peace. But this is how things should be. Stay and stick with your principle, and then let the other things unfold. I congratulate him. He has done well in life.
Yes.
What he has always desired has now come on a platter of good for him, and we can't but celebrate him. He's also a man of the arts, by the way, successful businessman. But then when you're hearing of Tunde Kelani, when you are hearing of many people in the arts and the creative economy, Obadewolu Ladoja has always been there for them, to support the cause, to finance them, to fund them, to serve as chairman of many companies that are in the creative, economy.
Yes.
A great man.
Congratulations.
He will be a great king.
Please invite me for any one bear that you guys are going to have. I'd love to come and attend, of
Maybe
course.
we'll give you a chieftaincy title.
I don't mind. What would it be called? Think about it.
We'll think about
next week, and you let me know. But congratulations to the people of Ibadan land as well. This day style is also doing something special. I think on the cover they also put the inside story there of Lagos makes history as Africa's first host of the E1 electric power boat race. I mean, I think they specifically put that story there for our, readers to pick up a copy of This Day Style to see the event. Arise News did cover that event. Kachi, I don't know if you were there. No. I believe Sheito Atigari covered it, as well as Anieze Osakwe.
I was there.
You were there? How was that?
Beautiful
yes.
event. Fantastic thing that you have. Lagos became the first city, by the way, in Africa that will host the E1.
Yes.
And what that speaks to is the fact that Lagos is forever number one when it comes to the idea of entertainment, of sports tourism, and then the safety. It speaks to safety.
Yes.
If you can have the entire crew of E1 flying in, all over the world. DJ Drogba was there. Many people, international brand ambassadors. And it was fantastic.
But it was raining on Sunday, so I couldn't attend. I just didn't want to go out on a rainy Sunday.
Rain does not disturb anything in Lagos. Rain is part of life. Rain doesn't disturb us. But of course, because the rain stopped at the point.
Yes, it did.
And then we had
and that's when I fell asleep. But Kachi, do you have a story for Mr. KK?
Oh yes, of course.
You have not allowed KK to say something about.
Yes,
okay. You want to say Oluba? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Long live the king.
Long live the king.
I think I cannot put it better than Steve has
I was
put it.
wondering.
I mean, the Bala system is an exemplary one, and I think it's something to treasure. And congratulations to Governor Sanwo-Olu on the very successful outing on the E1 Grand Prix.
Fantastic.
I think
Congratulations.
it's a great one.
Yes.
And maybe we can then say that there should be more of it.
Yes. So what do we say when we say Ekoni Bachi? What's that second thing you say? Obajeti.
Correct. Yeah.
Obajeti.
Obajeti.
Yeah.
Means what?
It won't, it will never be messed up.
That response.
It is well with Lagos.
It is well with Lagos. Congratulations, Babajide Sanwo-Olu.
All right, so we can quickly take a look at the Sunday Punch. The main story today being from the ex-INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakubu saying that tech-improved polls but can't end electoral flaws. Okay. Tech-improved polls but cannot end electoral flaws. I'm not sure.
So they're trying to say that the legacy he left behind was the improved technological advancement within INEC.
But can it really said it himself, isn't it?
He said
that's
himself.
what he said.
That
technology improved polls, but then it won't end electoral flaws. But he gave his reasons, and I'm sure KK read
these indictments as well. Go ahead.
Yes, he says the technical glitches, violence, vote buying remain persistent challenges. PDP Labour Party knock Yakubu as ADC NNPP incoming task the incoming chairperson. Now, of course, this is him basically saying that it's beyond INEC, and I think that's a sentiment that has been echoed over the last couple of days to say that it's beyond INEC doing their part. While they might try, there are still persistent issues. Technical glitches remain. Violence during elections remain. Vote buying persist, and these are challenges that they continue to encounter. Do we want to touch on that before we take on the next story?
Yeah, this is a good topic.
Yeah, because this is a really big topic.
Yes. It is. Yeah, I think the verdict of history on the tenure of Professor Mohammed Yakubu. Okay, yes, it's history. We judge, but I think some of the verdicts, judgments, I think I find them hasty, and not having a holistic look, at the thing, because at the end of the day, from the issue of this country, the job of the electoral officer is hugely a thankless job. It's a job that whoever loses the election will end up, demonizing, the electoral, the umpire, and that has been the fate of all electoral umpires that we have had. So that of Mahmoud is not different. But then, in doing so, the achievements of Professor Yakubu, should not, be denied, and that is the point he's making, that the introduction of technology, because of, for electoral, in electoral management, that a lot happened during his tenure, and he also improved upon, apart from consolidating what Professor Jega, his predecessor, did. Yeah. He also improved, on it in terms of application. But that at the end of the day, what is INEC? INEC is just managing election. It's politicians who are involved in contesting, elections, and I don't see any technology that you are going to have, that will act on the individual, politicians and their parties, that we have. That's why if we are talking of improvement, in our electoral system, the credibility, of the election, it's not just enough, to engage in, what I call at times, a gracious, flagellation, of the electoral empire, just demonizing every, chairman of INEC, but to look, holistically, into the electoral system. And when I say this, I'm not just talking of just tinkering with the law, but actually involving an institution whereby, I mean, politicians will see, election for what it is,
Yes.
which, that, there is a festival of democracy in which people will participate, and then also will have the spirit of sportsmanship that when you go into election, you can win or you can lose.
You can win or lose.
But then the mode of many politicians is that when you go into election, you must win.
Do or die.
And when you don't win, anybody you think, has acted, to prevented you from winning, becomes
the enemy.
The other point that people do make is that when you lose, do lose fairly.
Yes.
Don't let it be like you were cheated out.
And that is why the role of the umpire, comes in.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the point is that's
so
why
I think Professor Yakub has played his part very well.
Yeah.
And I think history will be kind, to him.
Yeah.
So
beyond the current mood of people, perhaps, who have cause to be angry with his performance.
I don't think we can take another story.
We can take
another
paper.
Yeah. Let's quickly look at Tribune. Not the lead story, because we've already treated that on the cover of this day. But there are three important stories here, KK, just very quickly. On the cover of Sunday Tribune, Supreme Court, it says, after Fubara's 6-month suspension, Supreme Court now to hear suit challenging emergency rule in Rivers State. Fixes Monday, October 20th. That's an important development for those who are saying, yes, even though Fubara has returned, but then the thing about law is, let's even know the position of the Supreme Court on what has transpired. Then two other stories. ASU raises alarm, says 309 professors have left Nigeria. Why wouldn't they leave? They earn barely 500K, 600K. Professor. At a time that, we spoke about it at length yesterday, with Abayomi Fahimi, who says that those who determine, what professors should get are earning 31 million a month in the House of in the State National Assembly. And then Super Eagles plane makes emergency landing in Angola over cracked windscreen.
Wow, what
that's
airline?
scary. That's scary. I've not read it.
That. Oh,
yes,
that's really scary.
But that's very scary.
Yes.
We needed to be, to be alive to take us to the World Cup,
and
whatever it takes.
Congratulations, yesterday's. Yesterday's.
We won, but every head is paining most Nigerians with the calculations that we're now making on how are we going to go to the World Cup. Will South Africa lose? Are we going to win? We will win by 2-0. What will happen to Benin Republic? Benin Republic of all countries, KK Benin, will stop us from going to to the World Cup. But yeah, that's here we are.
Steve, unfortunately, we have to go. And I wish that
KK, any final word?
Okay, maybe just on the River State case. I think it will be very important for the Supreme Court to rule on the constitutionality.
Absolutely.
Well
said. Well, very on that note, Mr. Komolafe, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us on our Sunday Tonic program. Hope to see you next week. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you, KK. All right, that brings us to the end of the morning show today. Thank you for watching and do stay safe. I'm Steve Ayorinde.
And I'm Kachi Ofia. Many thanks for sharing your time with us today.
Indeed. And I'm Oji Okwe from our entire team here in Lagos, Nigeria. Enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day. Goodbye.